Before Microsoft, there was a boy who cried alone in the dark, wondering if he would ever matter. Before the world knew him as the richest man alive, there was a quiet, thin boy named Bill Gates who used to spend nights staring at the ceiling, questioning his worth. He wasn't born into luxury or fame. His father was a hard-working man, and his mother was strict about discipline. But even with love around him, Bill often felt misunderstood. While other kids played outside, he was locked inside his small room, surrounded by books and an old computer that barely worked. He loved it. It was his escape, but the world didn't understand that. His classmates mocked him, calling him weird for spending hours in front of a screen. Once when he was 14, he came home after being humiliated at school for another failed project. His computer program had crashed during a school fair. He sat quietly in his room that night, tears rolling down his cheeks as he whispered to himself, "Maybe I'm just not good enough." That night, he promised himself one thing. If the world laughs at my dreams today, one day I'll build something that makes the world stop laughing. Years passed, and the same boy who once cried alone started building things that no one else dared to imagine. Bill entered Harvard, but he wasn't happy there. He didn't want to follow the same path as everyone else. He wanted to create his own. While his friends were studying for exams, Bill spent sleepless nights coding in the computer lab. He often skipped meals and slept on the floor, wrapped in a thin blanket. His roommate recalled nights when Bill would type for hours, pause, look at the screen, and silently wipe his tears. Not because of failure, but because of the crushing fear that he might be wasting his life chasing something no one believed in. His parents worried too. They wanted him to graduate, to have a secure job, but Bill's dream was different. One night, over dinner, his father asked, "Son, do you really think this computer thing will feed you?" Bill looked down and said softly, "Maybe not today, but someday it'll feed millions." He dropped out of Harvard, not because he gave up, but because he believed too much. The nights after that were brutal. He lived in a small apartment with his friend Paul Allen, eating instant noodles and surviving on borrowed money. Sometimes the electricity would cut off because they couldn't pay the bills. Bill would sit in darkness, whispering to himself, "This can't be the end. I can't stop now." The world called him crazy, but he called it faith. When Microsoft finally started taking shape, it wasn't born in a fancy office or through million-dollar investors. It was born from those nights of pain, hunger, and doubt. Bill often said that success didn't come from his genius, but from his tears. He remembered the nights he couldn't sleep, the friends who left, and the failures that almost broke him. When he finally made his first million, he didn't celebrate with champagne. He sat alone in his office, looking at the glowing computer screen, and whispered, "You did it, Mom. You did it, Dad." The boy who cried in the dark finally built something that shines. He later shared in an interview that the loneliest years of his life were the ones that built his strongest version. He said, "Sometimes you have to lose yourself completely to find who you were meant to be." Today, people see his billions, his power, his fame, but they don't see the nights when he was just a boy, wiping his tears off an old keyboard, praying for one more chance. Bill Gates' story isn't about money. It's about pain turned into purpose and tears turned into technology. Because before the world saw a billionaire, there was a broken dreamer, and it was his brokenness that made him unstoppable. Sometimes the brightest screens are built in the darkest rooms. Bill Gates didn't escape his pain. He programmed through it.